Every country has its own culture, and with that comes unique culinary traditions. But some dishes might seem downright bizarre to us. Let's take a look at some of the strangest foods you can find in China. So go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe, and let's get into it. Would you be brave enough to eat something where the main ingredient sentence is literally a bear's paw? Yeah, you heard that right. In China, this dish is considered a delicacy, and even the locals find it kinda extreme. The whole process is a mission. First, the paw gets dunked into boiling water to soften the hair, and whatever doesn't come off gets torched with a flamethrower. Then it's thrown into a pot with onions and ginger to purify the meat. That's when the claws and skin come off. But that's just the beginning. After all that, the paw gets simmered in a broth made with over 30 different ingredients for about an hour and a half. They say the result is melt in your mouth tender and supposedly full of health benefits according to traditional Chinese medicine. Sounds wild, right? Okay, now imagine paying over $5 a pound for bird spit. Yup, not joking. This fancy stuff is called bird's nest soup, and it's one of the priciest and most unique foods on the planet. It's made using the hardened saliva of a specific type of swiftlet bird that builds its nest entirely out of its own spit. The nests dry up into these clear noodle-like strands. When cooked, they turn into a kind of jelly-like soup that's said to be amazing for your skin and full of collagen. Basically, it's sold as a beauty booster, almost like an edible anti-aging cream. Taste-wise, people say it's super mild, almost tasteless. Still, would you really rather slurp bird drool than get a couple wrinkles? Let's be real, this one looks straight up inappropriate. The geoduck, pronounced gooey duck, is a massive clam with a super questionable shape. Honestly, it looks like something you'd find in a NSFW browser tab. This bad boy can have a siphon, that's the long neck thing, up to 3 feet long, and the price tag over $300 a kilo. That's nearly 2,000 riels for a single shellfish. While it's native to North America and China, geoduck is considered a luxury item. And yeah, because of the way it looks, folks also claim it's an aphrodisiac. It's usually served raw in paper-thin slices or quickly boiled to keep it crunchy. But once you see it up close, you might just lose your appetite or your innocence. You might think this guy is just doing some street cleaning, but nope. He's collecting the main ingredient for something called gutter oil. This stuff is straight up nasty. It's illegal recycled cooking oil made from the gunk scraped out of sewers, drains, and old restaurant grease traps. They filter and reprocess the sludge just enough to make it look like regular cooking oil. Then it's sold cheap to restaurants trying to save money, and the unlucky customers have no idea their fries are being deep fried in literal street goop. The health risks? Serious. It can cause liver damage, digestive issues, and even cancer. The Chinese government's tried to crack down, but in rural areas with less oversight, shady businesses still use it. Bon appetit! Back in 2020, when the world went into full-on panic mode, one dish ended up going viral, and not in a good way: bat soup. Photos of a whole bat just chilling in a bowl of broth shocked people worldwide. To be clear, this isn't a common food in China, it's more of a fringe thing, eaten in certain regions where people still believe it has medicinal properties. But after the pandemic, this soup became the ultimate symbol of crazy Chinese food in the eyes of the West. In response, the Chinese government banned the sale and consumption of wild land animals for food in February 2020. Even so, some spots still serve it under the radar, which is why those haunting images keep showing up. And yeah, it's just as disturbing in real life as it looks in the pics. Now, Brazilians do eat a lot of organ meats, livers, hearts, gizzards, but the Chinese take it to another level. Enter pig brain. The most common way to eat it is in hot pot, those steaming cauldrons where you cook your food at the table. People who've tried it say it's insanely soft, almost like tofu or flan, and it melts in your mouth. On its own, it's pretty bland, but it soaks up all the spicy flavors from the broth like a sponge. It's still pretty popular in some regions, and according to local beliefs, eating brain helps boost your own mental power, memory, focus, the works. So hey, if you're studying for finals or trying to beat that tricky level in a video game, maybe a scoop of pig brain is just what the doctor ordered. Or not. Picture this, you're at a bar, chilling with your friends, you order a snack to go with your cold beer, and the waiter brings you a boiled egg. Kind of boring, right? Well, not if it's a balut. This snack is popular in China and across Southeast Asia, and it's definitely not your average egg. Inside that shell, a partially developed duck embryo. Yup, you're literally eating a baby duck. Feathers, beak, tiny bones and all. The correct way to eat it? Crack open the top, sip the warm broth inside, then dig in and eat the rest. Believe it or not, a couple centuries ago, this was considered high-end cuisine, like something for royalty. Nowadays, people snack on balut at street stalls with a cold beer, like it's no big deal. To boost the flavor, folks usually add a splash of vinegar, soy sauce, and some salt. People say the yolk is creamy, like a rich pudding, and the embryo itself tastes like duck meat. Honestly, this feels like the horror version of a Kinder Egg. Imagine grabbing a crunchy snack that looks and feels like potato chips, only it's made from seahorses. Sounds ridiculous, right? But in China, these tiny ocean creatures are a full-on street food trend. China actually accounts for up to 95% of global seahorse consumption. You'll find them deep-fried on skewers, sold by street vendors, or dehydrated and packaged for that satisfying crunch. But it's not just about the crunch factor. Seahorses have been used in traditional Chinese medicine since the 1500s, believed to treat anything from asthma to infertility. Here's the problem. This insane demand is pushing wild seahorse populations toward extinction. While there are rules saying only farm-raised seahorses should be used, wild ones are still being hunted like crazy. So yeah, that crispy little snack comes with a pretty dark backstory. You've probably heard that old urban legend about street food made with pigeons instead of chicken. Well, turns out it's not totally a myth. In southern China, grilled pigeon on a stick is a super popular snack. You can get it spicy with barbecue sauce, roasted, or served in a rich glaze. And people love it. Even with plenty of other options like pork or lamb skewers, pigeon is still a crowd favorite. Locals say the meat is extra juicy, flavorful, and super tender. But don't get it twisted. This isn't some cheap mystery meat. In Chinese culture, pigeon is considered a premium dish, served at banquets and family celebrations. So while some folks joke about pigeons being dirty city birds, in China, they're treated like a delicacy. If they eat pig brains, seahorses, and bats, you really think they're gonna skip over snakes? Not a chance. Snake soup is a classic dish in Cantonese cuisine. For centuries, it was seen as a healing tonic, something that would boost your health and energy. Back in the Qing dynasty, this stuff was straight up royal food. People believed that snake meat helped improve blood circulation and increase qi or inner energy. The fancy version of this soup can include 5 different types of snake, all cooked together in a rich broth. Apparently, the meat tastes like a mix between chicken and fish with a soft, smooth texture. But here's the twist. Traditional snake soup restaurants are slowly disappearing. Gen Z doesn't seem too interested in eating reptiles, and growing concern over illegal wildlife trade is making the dish harder to find. Could this be the end of one of China's weirdest food traditions? What if I told you one of the most luxurious dishes in China basically has no flavor? That's shark fin soup, a dish that's been seen as a status symbol for centuries. The taste? Pretty much non-existent. The texture? Kinda gelatinous. And the price? Ridiculous. People believed shark fin could improve circulation, boost energy, and even increase libido, though modern science says that's all nonsense. Still, the soup remains popular among the wealthy, especially especially at weddings and banquets. But here's the dark side. Tens of millions of sharks are killed every year just for their fins. The rest of the body is tossed away. This brutal practice is pushing many shark species toward extinction. Despite growing awareness and bans in some areas, shark fin soup is still considered a must-have at fancy events. All that just for a bowl of bland broth. Let's wrap this up with something prehistoric: crocodile meat. In parts of China, croc meat is straight up appreciated, not just as food, but as a health booster. Some believe it helps with respiratory problems and other health issues. You'll find it in soups, grilled on skewers, stuffed into dumplings, and even turned into sausages. But before you picture hunters chasing down wild crocodiles, don't worry. Most of the meat comes from legal farms that raise crocodiles specifically for human consumption. Still, it's hard not to think, this is the king of the swamp we're talking about. How did he go from lurking in murky waters to being served with noodles and dipping sauce? It's definitely one of those dishes that make you pause and question everything. That's it for today. See you in the next video.